I am Erica May Melandres, and for today we will talk about the population growth and projections. So, what is population growth? So, population growth refers to the increase or decrease in the size of a population over time, depending on the balance of births and deaths. If enough people die, the world's population will expand slowly, if at all, and even may shrink. Absolute and relative population growth are both measured. So population growth is difficult to predict because unforeseen events can alter birth rates, death rates, migration, or the resource limits on population growth. Birth rates may decline faster than predicted due to increased access to contraception, later ages of marriage, the growing desire of many women in such a setting to seek careers outside of child-rearing and domestic work, and the decreased economic utility of children in industrialized setting. Countries may also choose to undertake mitigation measures to reduce population growth. For example, in China, the government has put policies in place that regulate the number of children allowed per couple. Other societies have already begun to implement social marketing strategies in order to educate the public on overpopulation effects. Certain governments' policies are making it easier and more socially acceptable to use contraception and abortion methods. So, population projections are attempts to show how the human population living today will change in the future. These projections are an important input to forecast of the population's impact on the planet and humanity's future well-being. So, what are the factors contribute to population growth? An imbalance between births and deaths is the fundamental driver of population expansion. Falling mortality rates are also nothing to be ashamed of, but an extended lifespan does add to the math of rising population numbers. So, what exactly do you mean when you say population projection? A population projection of the population depicts the number and the structure of the population in the future, broken down by gender and age. It is based on historical trends and for the future, assumptions made for three factors, that is fertility, death, and migration. The fertility rate at a given age is the number of children born alive to women of that age during the year as proportion of the average annual population of women of that age. The rate of population growth is the natural rate of increase combined with the effects of migration. Mortality is incorporated into projections by estimating death rates by age group and sex. Where mortality is relatively high and the resulting life expectancy at birth relatively low, changes in mortality play an important role in the future population size. Where mortality is already low and life expectancy has risen, mortality has much less effect. Throughout developing countries, infant mortality has declined substantially over the last several decades, and the general assumption underlying population projections for all countries is a continued decline in death rates and an increase in life expectancy. How can population growth be slowed down? This can be accomplished through the widespread education of children, a reduction in infant and child mortality, improvement in the economic and social and legal status of women, and provision of equitable gender relations in marriage and the child rearing. So how can we lessen overpopulation here in the Philippines? Actually, there is 5 possible solutions. First is empower women. Studies show that women with access to reproductive health services find it easier to break out poverty, while those who work are more likely to use birth control. The United Nations Population Fund aims to tackle both issues at once, running microcredit projects to turn young women into advocates for reproductive health. Second is promote family planning. This is one of the important role when women and men creates a family. Simply educating men and women about contraception can have a big impact. When Iran introduced a national family planning program in 1989, its fertility rate fell from 5.6 births per woman to 2.6 in a decade. A similar effort in Rwanda saw a threefold increase in contraception usage in just 5 years. Third is make education entertaining. The US-based Population Media Center gets creative to reach women. Its radio soap operas, which feature culturally stories about reproductive that have been heard by as many as 500 million people in 50 countries. In Ethiopia, 63% of women seeking reproductive health services reported tuning in. Fourth is government incentives. Those at UK charity Population Matters believe there should be a senior government official responsible for addressing population-related issues. They urge governments to promote responsible parenthood and say subsidies should be limited to the first two children unless the family is living in poverty. Fifth is one-child legislation. As I said earlier, during the China's high controversial one-child policy, fertility fell from 6 births per woman in the 1960s to 1.5 in 2014. However, Amnesty International reports that the policy led to coerced or forced abortions and sterilizations. It also disrupted traditional support structures for the elderly and led to a gender imbalance. So there are the five solutions that will lessen the poverty and population growth here in the Philippines. So that's it for today for the topic population growth and projections. And I hope guys that you learned something from me. So again, I am Erica May Melandres from BEd 1A and thank you for watching.